Hi, I'll start the show with a song. New you. That's a song being offered as a connection to the real universes. Today I'll read some of one of the new books from the new presentation by Dwayne Hepner. The new books are available at lulu.com. This is book 5 of the Adventure Is series by Dwayne, the great writer. It took me a few moments to register what she was telling me because I knew nothing about reincarnation or karma and what they were, even though I read some of these ideas in the dream books from the library. I knew I didn't want to go back to my life with my parents, as there really was no life there, except to always be afraid of their group who controlled them. Suddenly, I remembered some of the dreams I had as they were showing me a history of my lifetimes before this one. Then Shamta said, "Yes, Andreas, you are now seeing things more clearly. The real guides were showing you what you went through prior to this life, and how the lords of karma, at the request of the Kalam God, had you placed with those people who were the most deceitful and destructive, hoping you would change sides and live with the dark forces. Your present parents were your enemies in many previous lifetimes, and they had handed themselves over to the deceptive gods a long time ago. You were being nurtured by them to eventually become as evil as they. They are now so saturated and entrenched with their netted consciousness, and they will have to go through a tremendous amount of lifetimes to offset what they have become involved with. Here is your chance to become so wonderful, as I cannot even explain what it is and the gift that is waiting for you to realize. But you have free will, and it is all up to you," she said with the kindest voice. I looked at my 2 friends who had already decided to stay and what Shamta said, and it didn't take me long to decide, because if I didn't stay here, then I would return to a world that hated me and eventually will destroy itself anyway. So I said yes, and all of them were so happy, and they came and hugged me all at once. I instantly felt so relieved, as I knew I made the right decision. I was suddenly happier than I had ever been. Then Shamta explained what had to take place, as my friends already had the information. They were going to put my body asleep. Then the real guides would remove me permanently from it, as I would stay in the astral realm until she could give birth to 3 new girls. She said when I was old enough, I would be shown everything that took place, and I would be very aware of all I went through. But for me to be a real mermaid, I had to be born as one. I agreed to everything, and so here I am," said Lou. "Wow, Miss Lou, you are terrific. What a story, and I'm sure there is more, huh?" I asked. "A lot more, Sonny, a whole lot," she said as we giggled together. "So, did you ever find out what the wonderful gift was the real guides wanted for you?" I asked as I looked at her like the kid I was, as she came over to me and kissed me. "Oh yes, surfer dude, I did. It is all about you," she said. As I was so embarrassed, I immediately stood up. "Me? Why me?" I asked, as I was a bit perplexed. At this time, Dwayne, you have no idea what will be coming for you. But I already do, and it is not your time to know yet, but I am here to teach you a lot of very special things, because you are the gift that the earth will come to know like no one else has ever seen. Just like anything, you cannot learn too fast, as it may go to your head, or you will take it wrong, and that is not the idea that must be established with you. You still have so much to go through that if you knew even the half of it, you would probably run from this life. So I will make this fun for you as we go along, said Lou as she smiled as though she were in love with me. I was too young to be in love, and so I asked her, you mean I really will be a great writer like you have told me? Ha, dude, you will do way more than that. Trust me, you really will. You are going to shock the surface people so much, they will all love you for what you will be bringing them. Of course, there will be a lot for you to deal with and the real education you will bring, she said as she continued to laugh. It sounds a lot bigger than me, miss. Are you sure? I asked. What you will be bringing is a great adventure, something so wonderfully unique, but you must grow into it first so that you can properly understand it yourself. It will take many years, actually decades, but you will get there, as it is your fate and destiny. You will see, she said, as she sat at the keyboard. It would seem that when you became the mermaid, that I was going through what you were showing me about the lifetime we were looking at with Yabel, I said. That is correct, Dwayne. You and I had actually been together many lifetimes before, but we became separated as I was sent to a different planet. Someday we will go over some of those older adventures. But for now, we will focus on what we are doing in this present time frame, as this pertains to what is taking place now. It was as though we were meant to be together again, Dwayne, as we were both rebels in our own way to the establishment, which is always corrupt and deceiving. You and I were once a man and a wife, and we had a great love for each other. That is why we are here now. At this time, you do not know very much about human history, but it is not hard to understand all the wars and bloodshed that has taken place, as this is how the material worlds really are. Human history is built on the bodies of others. Then the arrogant egos of mankind proclaiming some sort of victory, as did Alexander the Great, who was nothing more than a terrorist and a heathen butcher, as there are those who would exalt him as something great. How stupid is that? You and I took the greatest risk to be right here now with the wonderful gift of what we now know. We are among the most privileged of all. You are still young in this life, but if you were to be all of your lifetimes, as I have had hundreds of years in the same body, you would not be the little innocent child as you are, but a person of huge stature and greatness. But the real guides wanted you as you are, because the outer stature is not what is important. It is the real being of a person and the heart they have. You are the new adventure, Dwayne, something so special that I cannot even explain it. The true reality that all life is has chosen you to do what no one else has the courage to do. Of course, Yabel or Rebazar or any of the real guides could and would do what is possible, but they must be who they are, and that is, they are in their positions where they are at as they must be, for that is their place. And so, many have been tested, but none of them will succeed like you. There are several more who will come forward before you. And the one Rebazar is training now will take the lead for a while, and you do know him, but you haven't realized him yet, but you soon will, she said. Wow, this sounds rather heavy, miss, I said as I was really lost for words in considering what she said. You forgot to ask me how I got to Earth, Dwayne, she said as she giggled. I did? Okay, miss, how did you get to Earth? I said. Well, now that you ask, I will tell you. once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, she said as she began to laugh and couldn't stop. Okay, what? Did I miss something here? I asked as I laughed with her. Your expression as you were listening to me, it is so precious, because what I just said is actually from the beginning of a movie that will be created in the future. But you don't know that yet, she said as she giggled on. Really? You mean you already looked ahead at even some of the movies that are going to be made in the future? I asked as she was so comical. I look at a lot of things on The View, except for people undressing. In the near future, when almost all the social humans will have computers, they will be glued to them along with their portable phones, she said. Really? Portable phones? That does sound far out, miss, I said. I like to keep up on what the surface people are doing, and sometimes I watch some of their movies, even the ones that are being imagined in the other worlds before they reach the Earth. The View gives me an analysis of the movies and fits the ones that would interest me to my profile. And one of them is called Star Wars. That is where I got what I just said from. And what is so funny is that it fits what I am about to tell you. And so it is a mermaid joke, Dwayne, she said. Okay, I get it now, I think, I said as we laughed. Years after I was born with my mermaid family, while I was still young, the real guides came to us and told us what they were planning with you, and Yabel had done his part to establish you on your journey as Nature Boy, as they liked to call you then. They asked us if we would relocate to the planet Earth, because the world we were on was going to have another nuclear war, and almost all life on the surface, and especially the oceans, would be ruined for centuries, if not altogether permanently. Of course, we said yes, and so they gave us the technology to rapidly build our own saucers, like the ones we have. We had a lot of futuristic technology then, but we never traveled above the planet as there was no need to. We also knew about the coming events in the war that would end everything. It was all part of the politicalness my parents had been involved with. The zealotists thought they could control the eventual nuclear explosion, which would take place, because of the agitation they created with those who did not agree with their takeover and manipulative governmental policies. Fortunately, the real guides keep an eye on world events, and when they told us what was going to occur, they said that the explosion would be much bigger and way more devastating than what the little tainted minds had originally calculated. Cool, so you packed up and came here, I said. Yes, and now you see how all this fits as to where you are and why I am with you. Now it should be easy for you to understand some of the sightings in the ocean over the years that have been reported, as they were some of our saucers. What a story, huh? She said. Now that you bring it up, what about a lot of the sightings all over the world? They can't only be yours, right? I asked. Not at all, because they stay very hidden. There are many different races from other planets and even from the lesser parts of the astral worlds, where some of the inhabitants are able to move from this dimension into the next one. Then there are the good and bad aliens from other worlds who scan the galaxy for things they can take from others. Some of the present world governments have been working with both the good and bad aliens, which the general public does not know about. So, the gag amongst those in the know is that it was a weather balloon or swamp gas that people are seeing, as one of the many ideas the officials have dreamt up to answer for the naive and unaware. The aliens also like to play tricks on the earthbound humans, and that is they will create certain types of projections which, are actually holograms which appear to be three-dimensional, then make them disappear in an instant. It's like the pranks kids play and along the same lines. There are so many different versions of these spaceships, and many of them are rather outdated because of the technology or the materials to advance. The humans seem to consider that if there really are aliens, that they must be so very advanced. They can be with their machinery, but that when it comes to their personal selves and their awareness, many times they are still in the dark ages, that they are looking to manipulate and conquer others. What is unfortunate is that the aliens the Earth governments are dealing with are rather black-hearted and are pulling the humans into a trap. There are many aliens already in human bodies that have been around for hundreds of years. The aliens like to manipulate others, and so the ignorant governmental humans think these creatures will align themselves to what the humans want. But it is actually the other way around, as the humans think the aliens are just stupid barbarians. The aliens already have their plans set, as they only want the resources of this world, but they do not want to make a disturbance where people will notice. Just like vampires do not want to arouse the neighborhood because there is too much food walking around that is easy to get to. Everyone likes fresh blood, and as it all sounds so gruesome, has become the choice of the humans as to the outcome of what happens on their world. It is not hard to see how a lot of people are more into a demise about their own life and also what they are promoting to others. An old example is those companies who create cigarettes and market the idea that it is something special to smoke. As anything becomes commonplace, so does the constant decay of the social orders, until there is nothing left but polluted ground to walk over. So much for the future of humans, she said. So, when I am this great writer, do you really see others really accepting what I will tell them about all this? I asked. It surely would seem strange they would, but many who will read your books will not care if any of it is real or not. What they will see while they are reading, and most of all experience, is the real adventure of real light you are providing that will connect them to the real guides and the true reality, as it will be in those time frames. Those who see what you will be presenting from their heart and not their heads will see the clearest. Everyone else will try and figure out who you are, as it will be more like a fantasy to them. All of the creative realms are the passing dream, and so nothing here is stable nor permanent. So it takes a special person with something more than what everyone else has to directly penetrate the netted consciousness each person has established for themselves. What we are experiencing right now, Dwayne, is our truth. You might say, as we are on our own journey to fully realize the true reality. What everyone else does or decides will be their experience for them and their so-called truth. But it will have nothing to do with the true reality. The best part is there will be so many who will relate to all these wonderful adventures we are having and what you are presenting, because there will come a time when so many people will be looking for something real, as opposed to all the indoctrination and boring routines of the belief system, and so many other paths that are basically the same. Even though all that is taking place on the earth would seem so cruel and disgusting, at the same time, it should motivate people into searching for something real. If not, those who stay lost here will have another chance someday in the future. But the future will be very dark indeed, she said. This whole movie I am in seems to have no real ending to it, but just gets bigger. Wow, Am I really going to remember all this when I write about it? I asked. Of course not, but I will be there to bother you so that you do, said Lou as she laughed. I see it bothering me right now, in a good way, that is, I said. The real guides all love you, Gawain, as you are the innocent child that will demonstrate the true reality like never before. They are all behind you because they know you will do it. Of course, you cannot see any of this now because you have a lot of experience to go through, but the moment will come when you will stand in the real position of what I am telling you now. The Earth people also need to mature into what will be presented to them in the future. And so this is where the man Revazar's teaching will come forward first and establish himself. You are not ready for any of this yet, but to be the surfer you are. The time frames we are now in is more like a suspended animation of sorts, as it does exist, but where does it exist? All of this, in the long run, does not matter at all, because all of life is here and now, and what comes from this position is an eventual relationship with the true reality, and that is for certain people to have guidance out of the lower realms of time and space. So let's take a break and get something to eat. Would you like some fish? She asked, as we both started laughing for the longest time. That is some of New Book 5 of the Adventure Is series by Dwayne the Great Writer. There are projects that you can become involved with in the new presentation, like the Total Universal Rainforest, and eventually the All Solar Research Vessels, and the Nation United Universal University, and the homeschooling. Anyway, it's for each of us to decide if the real guides are offering us an opportunity to check it out for ourselves. You can look up www.wonderfulworldwideeducators.com and see what life shows you. The new song, if you test that for yourself before you go to sleep each night for like 15 minutes, and when you get up in the morning for maybe 15 minutes or so, show the real guides that you're sincere, trying to learn how to earn your way out of these psych realms into the real universes, where we're all free beings of real light, where there is real freedom, instead of this implied freedom we have on Earth, and where there is real love, instead of just this emotional stuff we think is love on Earth. I'll end the show for today with the new song. New you. See you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time.